The following is an excerpt from Douglas E. Arch's book, The Life of a Screw, which details his years as a corrections officer at the old county jail in Woodstock, New Brunswick. It is available on numerous platforms and from the author in softcover. One night when I was working the 4 to 12 shift at the desk, as it was called, some of the seasoned inmates convinced me to look up some details in the logbook of things that had happened earlier in the day during the previous shift. They even got me to let them see the book so they could point out some items that they advised might not be correct. This was done all so innocently, just like you might see a couple of buddies sitting, talking, and trusting each other. It did not take me long before I realized I'd been conned. However, and that they had gotten the information that they required, just like in the movies. But I never forgot that and vowed to get even sometime. One thing that the inmates did not know or realize was that the officers, after lockdown the evening, were able to listen to the conversations and identify who was speaking. From this, we could learn that what we all actually been happening during the day. As long as the officers were smart enough to play the game, the inmates never understood how the officers knew so much about what was happening between them on the inside. Another little game the two sides played involved the theft of yeast and fruit from the kitchen. When the inmates had enough ingredients, they would try and make a brew of homemade booze. What they would do was have the laundry inmates keep aside a 5-gallon plastic pail and its cover, which they would clean out real well when it was time to brew. Then he would place the fruit, yeast, and water into it and let the ingredients ferment. The only problem was that the staff would, as routine, keep account of the yeast in the kitchen. Whenever a package or two went missing, we would then start to watch the movements of the inmates and track how much fruit would not be consumed at a meal, and who was gathering it up. And so the game would begin. We would figure out where the brew was hidden and keep an eye on it as well on the inmates involved as we watched the various stages of development. Yes, this was a game, but we figured that if the prisoners were busy doing this, they might not be involved in more serious games. So what would happen to the brew? I will explain later. There are some rules that inmates follow amongst themselves on the inside. One is that there is always one inmate who is in charge of their living area dorm, self-appointed. Our dorms in Woodstock usually house either 8 or 12 inmates, who are usually the better inmates, if you can say that. Better behaved at least. The province of New Brunswick would supply free of charge a package of tobacco and rolling papers twice a week to each inmate, as most inmates smoke. This was a method of encouraging the inmates to obey the rules and try to assist the inmate to earn an early release. However, at times tobacco was used as money on the inside, though differently from in the movies and on television. This tobacco was treated as a privilege and not a right. Whenever the bullies would insist that a weaker inmate forfeit their ration, if a guard was shot, all he had to do was seize the cache of tobacco from the bullies on a spot inspection, which occurred at the whim of a guard supervisor. Personally, since I was always for the underdog and didn't like to see the bullies get ahead, on these checks I would restore the balance, take a couple of packs from the tobacco from the rich and give to the poor, just like Robin Hood. Okay, not really. This has been an excerpt from Douglas E. Arch's best-selling book, The Life of a Screw, detailing his time as a corrections officer at the old county jail in Woodstock, New Brunswick. Again, it's available on numerous platforms and from the author in softcover. Douglas E. Arch is a proud member of the New Brunswick Independent Authors Association. The group is on Facebook. Those wishing to join the association can contact the group's administrators, as currently it is a closed group but open to new authors voice actors, creators, and other supporters of independent indie authors and self-published authors in New Brunswick. We wish you a good day. Bye.